Ah, yes, Planet Agent. If only there was some way, some kind of pump spell that we can use that if we swing in, we win the game immediately. If only there was such a deck, if only there was such a pump spell. Well, if you're interested in that, this video might just be for you. Today I have quite the brew at the ready for you because I've been thinking for a long while now that Infect pump spells have been a real issue with Infect lately. Like, the creatures are good enough. It's like in Modern specifically, the pump spells just have been lacking, you know. What pump spells have we gotten lately? Like Snakeskin Veil, making our creature a 2/2 instead of a 1/1? Not that great. So I've been chatting recently. I chat a lot with Jacob Seagull. For people who notice, he's probably one of the better Infect players in the world right now. He also top-8'd, by the way, with my previous list that I made a video about. So just to show that Infect is still good. But we've been chatting about how we can maybe improve, and we came up with, what if we try and mix Hammertime and Infect and make the best of both worlds? And as soon as Jacob mentioned this, you know, all the gears in my head started grinding, and I started brewing. And I came up with this list, and I just ran it through a league, and went quite well on the first go. So who knows, maybe there's something here. I'm going to keep exploring this. So basically what I did is I made a combination of Infect, and I made a combination with it with Hammertime. And the idea is that if we just slam in with our Infect creature, it's lethal immediately, because 10 Infect is lethal. So what I did is I took Hammertime and I analyzed what spells they are playing, which spells I think were not great in Infect, and then I just combined both of these. So let's dive in, right? This video is also going to be interesting for people interested in Hammertime, because you should give this one a go. It's quite different. It's much more explosive. If you deal damage once, you usually win. So just check it out. Let's go to the lands. 17 lands. I'm not counting Urza's Sagas and Inkmoth Nexus as lands. We'll go into that soon. So the land suite, you know, typical Hammertime, you know, fetches, plains, Hallowed Fountain, Seachrome Coast. You need blue and white. Easy, good stuff. You can play a lot of basics here because we are mainly white with a small blue splash. And then, usually Hammertime plays 3 Inkmoth Nexus. I'm playing 4 because this is the main win condition. And then I'm playing the best Infect creature there is in the form of Planet Agent, which is unblockable. And that has been quite good in some of my matches upcoming. You will find out that soon. So the idea with this list is that usually Hammertime relies a lot on artifacts to win the game, and I just cut all the artifacts and I made it so that I could win with Infect damage, right? You can see that in the main board as well. So I've cut all the artifacts, as I said, and this does mean that we have to make some changes, because usually Hammertime relies on having artifacts and Metalcraft where they can equip their artifacts for 0. We can't do that. We usually won't be able to have enough artifacts for the Metalcraft. First, let's dive in, right? We need ways to actually find Hammer. So, since we really need Urza's Saga to do that, because we can have Stoneforge Mystics, that's a 4 of, and we also have 2 Steel Shaper's Gift. You could try playing 4 Steel Shaper's Gifts, but I really didn't want to spend too much resources in order to have to find Hammer. And Urza's Saga is really good because you can just get Hammer, put it onto the battlefield without having to be afraid of it potentially getting countered. So I decided to play Urza's Saga. Despite the fact that I'm playing few artifacts, it's not that big of a deal. Usually, if you get 1 or maybe 2, like 2 other artifacts, it's strong enough. If you smash a hammer onto this, it's still +10/+10. So it's an additional win condition where you can also just win with the regular damage. So these are the spells that help us find Hammer. So 10 dedicated ones. I also added 3 Esper Sentinels because, you know, sometimes they draw us cards. Haven't been too happy with Esper Sentinels, so this may be flex slots where I could see myself cutting these. And then, of course, we need ways to equip our Hammer because we are not playing the Metalcraft one. That means we need other ways to equip. Of course, the Goddess 8 is the best one. We play this as a 4 of. And then in total, I think you want 10 ways to actually equip your hammer to get them consistently. So what I did is I'm playing 3 core outfitters that if they enter, you may attach an equipment to target creature you control. And this gives quite a potential of going 1, 2, 3 and win the game. Like turn 1, Colossus Hammer. Turn 2, Blooded Agent. Turn 3, core outfitter. Put the hammer on agent and win the game. That's gonna happen in the upcoming league, so check that out. And then also playing 3 Forge News. Potentially, if your opponent kills the hammer, you can get it back and equip it full 0 immediately. That's quite nice. I think maybe I should play a 4-2 split in the future where I'm playing 4 outfitters and 2 Forge News. That is probably gonna be better. Then, of course, 4 Colossus Hammer, that's pretty straightforward. And then I'm playing 1 Batterskull and 1 Cauldron Complete. Cauldron Complete, win condition on its own, and Batterskull is good against, well, burn, etc. You could also play the 1 mana spell. What's the name of the card? Shadow Spear, that's the name. Maybe you should do that. I've been trying to win with Batterskull. Shadow Spear is better because you can bind with Saga. This will be interesting moving forward. And then we have Protection, because we have 4 Giver of Runes and 2 Surge of Salvations. That's a bit more protection than usual. I could even see myself maybe cutting 2 Esper Sentinels for 2 Skrells, because we are a bit more all-in than usual Hammertime decks with our Blood Agents. We really want to swing in and just win the game immediately, right? Then sideboarding, for people who have been playing Hammer for a lot, they just recognize immediately. I just copied the latest Hammertime lists. That's the dive in, because most people maybe don't know what we're trying to do. So we are playing Path to Exile, straightforward, get rid of some pesky creatures. March of Otherworldly Lights, really good. You can get rid of artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. Keep in mind, for example, if you're playing against Hammertime, you can actually just march for 1 white and then get rid of the Saga. That works. Sanctifier on Vec, very good against all the scam decks flying around right now. Then we have Draneth Magistrate, only casting spell from the hands. That's pretty relevant as well. Sword of Salvation, more protection. Lavinia, really good, very good. It's an all-star. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent, counter it. Goodbye Elementals. Then each opponent can't cast non-creatures with mana value greater than the number of lands. Also very good for people cheating on mana. And then just 2 Spell Pierces and 1 Relic as Graveyard Hate. Let's dive into the league and see where we ended up. I do want to give a big shout out to Card Hoarder for sponsoring me, because this is the first video that I just completely almost rented the entire deck, and this would not be possible without Card Hoarder, so check them out. Thank you once again, and let's go dive into the games. Before we dive in, I want to mention that this was a replay, because as I said, I was not expecting to perform this well in my first go, so I was not recording. And also, I will not be discussing sideboard here, because I haven't been playing Hammer that much, and I'm not entirely sure whether or not my sideboarding was correct. If I see sideboard cards, I may explain them when we will see them and why they are good, but otherwise I'm not going to go into detail about that too much. Alright, so, game 1. So this opening hand is pretty good. So what I've been finding that with Hammer, especially, you need to mulligan, as we do in Infect as well, because sometimes your hands will not function without a good opening hand, right? And check it out. Immediately from the start, we are playing against another Hammertime deck. So this is nice. We get to see which deck is the better one, which is the better Hammertime deck. So good start here. We have Colossus Hammer, we have Steel Shaper's Gift, Mother of Runes, Giver of Runes, then Sagas. The only thing I'm lacking right now is a way to equip my hammer, but I have a lot of stuff going on, so I'm not unhappy. I decided to keep this one here, and we just draw Core Outfitter, so boom, right from the get-go. So I'm going to start here by playing Colossus Hammer straight away. I don't really care about my opponents drawing a card here. It's not about the amount of cards they have in the hand. This will just be a straight-up race. And I figure that I just want to have an Infect as soon as possible. And there we go. We just draw into Blooded Agent, so I'm happy. I know that if I just don't lose at this spot, we win the game. However, they are faster. They also win with Infect. So, well, joke's on me. Game 2. So I'm on the play now. If you look at this opening hand, it's okay. I have Forge Anew, I have Nexus. So the only thing that I'm lacking right now is a way to actually equip the hammer. But I do have Spell Pierce to stop my opponent from winning. And I'm not unhappy here with the way this is going. If I find hammer, we should be able to take this one home. Especially with me having Sentinel turn 1, we can maybe draw. So I'm just going to see where it ends up. My opponents start with Sagada's Aid, and they will pay. So I'm not going to draw a card. Okay, so I'm just going to chill, play Giver of Runes here. I want to keep mana open for in case I find Spell Pierce. I want to draw a card, so I'm just going to chill. My opponent doesn't do anything, but they do have Inkmoth Nexus. But with me having Spell Pierce, I'm not unhappy because I feel like as soon as I find my my hammer, I just win on the spot. I'm going to keep Forge Anew because, again, if I play Forge Anew, they will draw with Esper the Sentinel, and then if I want to Spell Pierce, they will draw again. And at this point of the game, I don't want my opponent to actually draw too many cards because they have Inkmoth Nexus too, so I might just lose with Infect damage if I tap out too much and give them more cards to draw. Because the way they are playing, it seems to me like they are really lacking. They clearly don't have hammer, right? Or they would have just tried and win. So it seems to me like we are both in this awkward position of draw go, and whoever finds the hammer first wins, which is something that, you know, sometimes that happens. But again, we have a lot of ways to actually find our hammer, so we will find it sooner or later. But this is pretty funny because right now this is as much as the mirror as it can get. So we are drawing a lot of lands. I do want to point out that in my list, I'm playing 25 lands in this one, which is a bit more than most Hammer lists, but that's deliberate because most of the time, Hammertime plays around 22 lands, and then they have 3 artifacts that actually gives you mana. So if you just count all of these up, you actually end up with 25 lands as well, which is why I decided to play more lands so I could have more consistency in the deck, if that makes sense. Anyway, we find Saga, which can get us Hammer, but they get rid of it with March, but we find another one. So I'm not unhappy. I'm just going to chill here, do nothing. My opponent's not going to do anything either. There we go, Spring Relief Drum, that's the mana producer, which they will play. Another aid, don't care. And then they will pop off Forge Anew. I'm going to counter that one. Now, keep in mind that they can actually pay for this, but that's okay. Look at this board state. I mean, the Spell Pierce is not getting better the longer this game goes on, and I want my opponents tapping out here. Okay, Blighted Agent, really good nice top deck here, because this means that if I find Hammer, I can just slam it on the Agent, and I don't have to worry about them blocking, which is perfect in the situation. So we do end up winning here, and I think Blighted Agent was important. Let's go to game 3. So this is the kind of opening hand you really do want to see. This is a really nice 1-2-3 here, because what we can do is we can play Hammer turn 1, Agent turn 2, and then turn 3 we can play Forge Anew and just win the game. Potentially I can have Path to Exile to prevent my opponents from killing me. So I'm pretty happy. Also, if they get rid of the Hammer, I have Stoneforge Mystic. So yeah, pretty well set up to deal with my opponent. Especially in this matchup, it felt like Blooded Agent was excellent, because if this is a race, usually Hammertime requires like 2 turns to kill you. So I was very happy here being able to just start with Blooded Agent. I'm just going to slam down this Hammer. They start with the Drum, and they pass. So yeah, I think that's a bit unfortunate for my opponent. They just needed to draw land, and they probably would have had gas, but I mean, this, for me, this just signals that I'm going to kill them. It's interesting that the game plans that I was playing, like Poison Hammer against Hammertime, they were pretty similar, right? They mulliganed very aggressively as well, as they should, as Hammertimers know you should always do that. And the deck feels pretty similar, so I was very happy to win that one. All right, round 2. Pretty good opening hand here. So we have Aid, we actually have an Inkmoth Nexus for damage. When we get through, we will immediately. We have some protection in the form of Giver of Runes, and we have Saga to find the Hammer. So pretty much everything you want. I'm just going to start off straight away with a Giver of Runes to protect my stuff. I was thinking about whether or not I should play... Sorry, I'm going to start with the Cigar's Aid. I was thinking about playing Giver of Runes or Espinal Sentinel, but I decided that in the end, you know, I just want to have the Aid as quickly as possible, and then with the follow-up Urza Saga, I could then very quickly, if I find Hammer, just win the game on the spot. So my opponent decides to pay for the Esper Sentinel. I don't think in this league I'm ever going to draw a card with Esper Sentinel. But it does make it so your opponents have to tap out and you're feeling safe. Okay, so Saga ticks up. I am going to play Giver of Runes here, because I don't really need the token in the form of the Saga token here, because if I can just animate Inkmoth Nexus and put the Hammer on that one, you don't really need the Urza Saga. So I'm just going to pay. I want to have protection for my Inkmoth Nexus. I think that's better. My opponent's going to play Expressive Iteration and reveal Gutshot here. That's unfortunate. So this is a bit of an interesting spot for me. So they are going to Gutshot Esper Sentinel, and they are going to get a lot of prowess triggers. So difficult for me to deal with, but nothing I can do about it. Giver of Runes is not active yet, so I'm just gonna let it happen. They have some more prowess triggers. There we go. And now I'm starting to count, because you can see that there's a lot of damage here on the stack already. So this is a total of 10 damage, and I'm gonna go to 5 if they attack with everything. So they decide not to attack with Monastery Swift Spear. Interesting choice. I think this is mainly because, and this is something that I found that a lot of people don't know. Maybe, I mean, I've been playing Infect for so long that it's pretty logical to me that if you actually slam a hammer down on Inkmoth Nexus, you can give it flying again. I'm not sure if people know this, but what you can do is you can actually just, I'm just going to show you, right? So what's happening here is my opponent's going to gut shot my Inkmoth Nexus. In response, I will give it protection from red, of course, with my Giver of Runes. So let's empty the stack. There we go, protection from red. I would like to use it. So now, if you equip a hammer on your creature, right? So what Colossus Hammer says is that it gets +10/+10 and loses flying. However, what Inkmoth Nexus says is that if you pay 1, you can give this creature flying and infect. So if the hammer makes your creature lose flying, you can actually pay 1 and give it flying again. And I think that's why they kept the blocker back. And I'm just going to kill them. Pretty neat interaction, and very important to, if you want to give this list a try, and if you've never played Hammertime, maybe something you don't know yet, but keep that in mind, it's very relevant. Alright, next round. I think in general, Burn is probably a good matchup for Hammertime, where usually it's a very bad matchup for Infect, so that's nice, a good swap around. Okay, perfect, so I don't have a pretty explosive start, although then again I do have Sanctifier on Vec, so if I just slam a hammer down on that one, I think we just win the game immediately. So that is a snap keep, especially since I can go 1, 2, 3, or I can even play hammer turn 1 and then call Outfitter and put the hammer on that one turn 2 and make it so my opponents can't slam in anymore, which is really nice. So I'm just going to play the coasts, play the hammer, pass, Swift Spear, Bauble, and take the Prismatic Ending. That's unfortunate. Best thing that my opponent could have had. So, unfortunate for me, but then again, I still have Sanctifier on Vec, so I'm not unhappy. I'm just afraid of them having Path to Exile for my Sanctifier on Vec. And here they play Prismatic Ending, sorry, Expressive Iteration. Play these, get a million triggers. They're just going to slam in with everything. And I'm just going to block that one. I'm not even going to block Darcy. I want to prevent myself from getting too much damage. Right, so let's slow down here and talk about what we did. I started out with playing Steel Shapers, and then you can search your library for an equipment, right? So I searched up Colossus Hammer, and I decided to play Colossus Hammer immediately, and then I'm going to play Giver of Runes. Reason for this is that next turn I can play Core Outfitters and just equip the hammer immediately, right? So there was no reason for waiting. So Steel Shapers, played it with Seachrome, get the hammer, played it with Inkmoth Nexus. Then I have 1 mana left, so I can play Giver of Runes. That's what I did here. And this Sanctifier on Vec, that's just a 2/2 on its own, right? So my opponent's on 13 life, so I don't need Infect damage here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slam in this one, con block, and I figure that Giver of Runes, I don't really need it in this matchup, right? If I'm going to win with Sanctifier on Vec, it has protection from my opponent's deck, basically, right? So I'm only going to lose if they have exactly Path to Exile, and I'm going to have to block with Giver of Runes. So I feel like, yeah, I just want to kill them next turn. Put them to 11, because 2 plus 10, that's 12, so they would be dead. My opponent has 3 cards in hand, so they're going to play Manamorphose. They do draw Lava Dart, that's a really good one. However, keep in mind that Lava Dart, usually what makes it good is that you can replay it. However, with Sanctifier on Vec, if they play it, it actually goes into exile, which is really good. So here they have the Wear. They can destroy the Colossus Hammer. Really unfortunate for me. So they've got rid of 2 hammers. Yikes. But that's it. So they are going to just attack with these 2. And now that hammer's gone, different thing, of course. So if I draw 4 Janu now, that will be perfect. However, we do not find it. And now I figure that I'm just going to have to play it safe. Currently, I'm at a healthy 10 life, and I have protection from the creatures. So if my opponent's going to start attacking, I feel like I'm currently okay. The only thing that I want is to stall the game until I find a hammer, and then just kill them in one swing, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and play this very clever. So my opponent fetches, and here they're going to attack with everything. Very interesting decision here. What I should do. I'm definitely going to block with Sanctifier on Vec, but then what are we going to do? What are we going to let through, and what are we going to block? Okay, in the end, my opponent will not attack with this one, so they attack with these 2. What I decided to do is I'm actually going to animate 1 Nexus. I don't need it. And then I'm going to try and kill a bunch of their stuff. So, of course, I'm not going to be able to kill this Monastery Swift Spear because it has 2/3. However, what I can do is if you attack with Inkmoth Nexus, right? Well, not attack, but if you deal damage with Inkmoth Nexus, an Infect creature deals damage in the form of -1/-1 counters. I really want to kill Soulscar Mage, I think is the best one, because it also gives the -1/-1 counters. So I'm going to protect my Inkmoth Nexus, at least I'm going to try and protect it, to ensure that my Inkmoth Nexus survives, but this one will get a -1/-1 counter. And if they would use a bolt or removal spell on Inkmoth Nexus, that's a positive for me. I just want to prevent myself from taking damage. So there we go, I protect it, this one gets a -1/-1 counter. Perfect exchange for me. I'm just going to chill. They're going to play another Soulscar, play a land. There we go, and they are not attacking, and I'm in the driver's seat. Okay, 4 of a kind. I've now played 4 Inkmoth Nexus, and I feel like at this situation, I can safely attack with Sanctifier on deck. I have 4 potential blockers, right? So I think I can manage to attack, especially since my opponent doesn't have a lot of cards anymore in the hand. Here, what they're going to do is they're going to bolt my Giver of Runes. Okay, unfortunate for me, nothing I could have done about it anyway. And in response, I'm going to animate an Inkmoth Nexus and give it protection, because I'm going to assume that they will attack with creatures, right? And if I do this later, after my Giver of Runes dies, I will not be able to protect my threat. So this is what I want to be doing. Okay, so that works. Nice. That means that if they attack, I should be able to kill one of their threats. And here my opponent is thinking for a while. Prowess triggers. Okay, so Giver of Runes is dead. My opponent has 1 card in hand. Let's see what they're going to decide to do. And here they just attack with everything except for Dragon's Rage. They want to have a blocker. That makes sense. Okay, cool. So since I know that I really don't need these Inkmoth Nexi, I'm just going to block 2 of them. So the reasoning for this is that keep in mind that a -1/-1 counter stays on. So I'm going to block the Soulscar with the Nexus that has protection from red. That means that this will get another counter and it will die. And I'm going to block this one with my other Nexus. That means I'm going to take 2. And they only have 1 card in hand. So even if they have like a 4 damage spell, that means I'm still not immediately dead. That's what I was aiming towards. Okay, Sigarda's Aid. Not the best thing that I could have found, but okay, so be it. I'm just going to play it. At this spot, I'm going to play Core Outfitters. I have kept it in hand this entire time until I found an artifact. However, now that I find Sigarda's Aid, I no longer need the Outfitters, and this is an extra blocker, so I do decide to play it. Let's see what my opponent does. They Unholy Heat the Core Outfitters, sure. Nothing I can do about that. They're going to attack. I have Sanctifier on Vex, so that's an easy block, which means I'm just going to have another Nexus. Now I can block, prevent taking damage. I'm going to put them like this. Reasoning for this is that if I block this way, right, it ensures me that I will always kill a creature. If I had blocked the Soulscar Mage with Sanctifier on Vex, and I would have blocked Monastery Swiftspear with the Inkmoth Nexus, that means that the Monastery Swiftspear will also get a -1/-1 counter. However, this one would have survived the combat, and that's not what I want. And you can see that this was the correct choice, because they lava dart the Inkmoth Nexus, but I've already blocked, right? So who cares? Not me. Okay, draw another Outfitter. Not what I want, but so be it. Special Iteration, yikes. That's scary, because that nets them 2 cards, so let's see what they find. Still, I'm at a healthy 7 life, so as soon as I find my hammer, we win the game immediately. So they attack with everything. What I'm going to do is I'm going to animate the Nexus, because I want to, again, I want to prevent getting damage. So let's go to blockers. This really was a good game in, you know, combat math. So hoping that you're enjoying this. I really did. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, again, blocking this one, it would get a -1/-1 counter, so it would die. Then, going to block the 2/3 with my 2/2. I really don't care about Outfitters, that one can die. And I'm going to block the Darcy with my 2/2. If it doesn't get Delirium, it will die. That was the idea. So in this exchange, for me, these 2 would be dead, and I would have lost Outfitters and Inkmoth Nexus, but that's okay. And I can block the Monastery Swiftspear with my Sanctifier on Vec forever. So there we go. They bolt me. Excellent. However, this does mean that I'm getting close to, 4 damage, I'm getting close to die. But we do find Stoneforge, Sigarda's Aid, boom, play the hammer, can equip it under Sanctifier on Vec, and just try and kill them immediately. But they have another Wear and Tear. Okay, sucks to be me, but nothing I can do about it. So, at this point, my opponent's hand is empty. So I'm like, well, what are the odds of me losing here? I'm going to start slamming in, because now, if they have like the Boros charm, they can deal 4 damage to me and I would be dead. So I have to start doing something, right? If they have a removal spell to kill Stoneforge, so be it. That means if they bolt it, I'm going to take 2 damage from the Monastery Swift Spear. So I'm just going to have to do it like this. Okay, they draw another one. Kind of sucks, but so be it. I'm going to fetch. This is just purely to reduce the odds of me drawing a land. And I was on 3 life anyway, so Lightning Bolt would have killed me, and pretty much any burn spell that they draw right now is lethal for me. So if you can't play around Bolt, you shouldn't. That's why I'm just going to fetch. I find March. That's really nice, because that means I can now get rid of a threat, and I can attack with Stoneforge. And the idea here is that hopefully I can just block these two with my creatures here, and then I can hopefully block Monastery Swift Spear with my Nexus. Kill this one, and then on the swing back, I have exactly 3 damage. That was the idea. Specific Iteration, yikes, scary. However, they've seen quite a lot of burn spells already, so let's see what happens. And here they have to Swift Spear. Nice, good for us, because they will try and kill me, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to animate the Nexus. I can block. I'm going to chill, and I'm expecting that they will have some kind of way to try and kill me. Here they gut shot me to try and make the Monastery Swift Spear lethal. However, I've kept back the March of Otherworldly Light. That means I can block now. I'm going to go to 1 damage. We find Stoneforge, which we play, and I will search up my hammer, just in case I find Core Outfitter. I will slam in here. I can safely attack because I've blocked this Monastery Swift Spear with a Nexus. That means it has gotten a -1/-1 counter, so it's a 0/1. The only thing that can attack right now is a 1/2, and I have a 1/2 to block with. If they have any instant, I would be dead. But I think this is the way I should have played it. And my opponent attacks with everything. I will block the 1/2. They concede and we win the game. Wow. I really loved that game. That was so intense. Such a cool game. I really loved this. So many combat math to be done. That's right up my alley. So, phew. Excellent. Excellent. Let's go to the next round. It's possible you might have to watch that last game again because there was so much going on. Okay, anyway, this opening hand is okay. I have a Giver, I have Stoneforge Mystics, I have Blood Agent, so the only thing I'm lacking is a way to equip my hammer. But I think this is fine. I can keep this. I'm going to start with Sentinel because it's going to draw me some cards, and it looks like we are playing against another Hammer player. Nice! Let's prove that Hammer Infect is the way to go. Or Poison Hammer. I don't know, I don't have a name for this deck yet. Maybe Poison Hammer is the best one. Infect time? Nah, it needs the hammer. Anyway, I draw card complete, but I'm not going to draw it. I'm going to find it with Stoneforge since I already have the hammer. And you can see why I think, or why I like this build, right? Usually this is how Hammertime wins. They have Cauldra and they're going to win in the course of 1 or 2 turns. However, if I have Blighted Agent, if I just slam in once, boom, you are dead. Especially when my opponents are gaining life, 10 Infect, you just win the game immediately. So you can see that this list is much more explosive, and that's something that I do enjoy. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm just going to stall the game, and try and find my hammer equipper and then just win immediately. So currently I'm not going to play Agent yet. I don't think I need to do that. I have time. Also, I don't have a way to equip it yet, so I'm just going to play Giver first. Next turn I will just play Blooded Agents regardless of anything going on. Who knows, if it goes really bad, I can actually block the Germ token here with my Blooded Agent because I now have black, white, and blue, so they can't give me protection from everything with their Giver of Runes. You can see them making a bunch of constructs, making the Shadow Spear. So that's unfortunate for me. They're going to slam it in here. And they're going to give protection to this construct. And they're going to give protection to this Germ token. I'm going to do some blocking. And So the reason I did this is honestly because I wasn't sure how this was going to work. So it says prevent all damage that black and or red sources would deal to creatures you control this turn. And I wasn't sure if it just prevents everything or not, because this is a black creature, right? So I was wondering, so this is going to deal 5 damage. You normally only have to deal 1 damage to the Sentinel to kill it. However, maybe since it now has, well, it's now indestructible, so it's not indestructible, but maybe now that I've prevent damage, maybe I could have prevented all 5. I wasn't sure. Spoiler alert, it doesn't work that way. But I do like testing this out. So there we go. Just going to show you. I still lose, right? So you can actually still just deal 1 damage and you trample over for the remaining 4. But I wasn't sure, so I wanted to check that one out. Okay, next game. This is an easy mulligan. No lands. There you go. So this is also a medium hand, but I don't want to mulligan to 5. I have Forgenew, I have March, so I can stall the game a bit. If I can drop down this Cauldron, we're okay. If I find a hammer, I just win on the spot because I have Inkmoth Nexus. So I feel like I want to keep this one. I find Stoneforge, which is nice. That means I can actually slam down this Cauldron next turn. I'm going to search up a hammer, because that also means that if I play Forgenew, I can actually equip it on the Nexus and win like that. They find Stoneforge of their own. You can see my opponent mulliganing heavily again. That's just what hammer decks do. You have to mulligan aggressively. You want to win ASAP. Okay, and then nice. We draw the outfit, which is really good. So I'm just going to play Cauldron here. I'm going to attack. At this stage of the game, I could now decide to play either hammer, so I can equip it easily next turn, or I could also play or keep up the white mana for getting rid of the germ token, and I decided to do just that. Here they are going to attack. So I'm going to get rid of the germ token with March of Otherworldly Light, and they do the same. So okay, now what I just need to do is I need to play my Forgenew, because that means next turn I can animate Nexus, equip it, and then give it flying again. However, equip costs are now 0, so I can actually equip Cauldron under my Stoneforge Mystic, slam in for 6, and now I actually have the option to also just kill them with regular damage because I have the hammer, right? So I can choose. They are able to swing in for 17. They only swing in for 16. But they could have. And here this is nice. They actually put it onto Esper Sentinel, which makes sense because now they actually have blockers. But I have hammer, so I'm going to play it. Now I'm going to play my Nexus, equip, and give it flying again and win the game. Boom. Nice. Next game. Tell me again that Poison Hammer isn't the best hammer deck. So opening hand is okay. I have 1, 2, 3, which is nice. It's more than okay, but it's actually a good hand, especially in this matchup. Because I have 2 removal spells, I can go turn 1 Hammer, turn 2 Agent, turn 3 Forgenew, and win the game. Nice. Okay, so I'm going to keep. Opponent's going to mulligan to a very aggressive start, as they should. They mulligan to 5. That's just what Hammer does, so we've done the same. You need to do that. Chrome, since they don't have a threat, I don't need to keep open mana for March. We found Inkmoth Nexus, which is good, so that means that I can also just chill. Here they have Gingerbrute, and now I have a decision to make, because I realize that if, depending on the game, if they have like Cicada's 8 plus Hammer, I could lose. But since they haven't been playing white mana, I feel like I need to be the aggressor here. If they don't do anything, I just win next turn, right? Because I have Planet Agents, and I can't imagine them having 2 hammers here. So I felt quite safe to just go for it immediately and kill them, and we win. Boom! So against other hammer decks, 2-0. Nice. Let's go to round 4. So this opening hand is okay. The only thing it's lacking is lands. If I draw 1 land in this opening hand, this is great. Since I'm playing 25 lands in my list, I think I should keep this one. Now, opponent starts with a Thoughtseize. That's unfortunate. But okay, so be it. We did draw into a land that we wanted, so we could still win. Dorothy Voidwalker, that's okay. I'm going to go for Stoneforge. Let's see if I can win with Cauldron. So I'm going to... Oh, sorry about that. We actually played Core Outfitters, and I'm going to equip the hammer onto it immediately. I did this to play around Lightning Bolt, and if things do go wrong, I can actually still play the Stoneforge. They have a removal spell for the Outfitters. I'm going to play it again. Let's see if they have more removal spells. They play Seasoned Pyromancer. I can't block that one, that's unfortunate. Just gonna slam in here. They block with the creature, okay. I'm going to play Stoneforge. Really wanted to find lands here. Fortunately, we didn't. But I figured that I can start gaining life with this Bat Skull. So we could stabilize that way. However, they have Fury. That's horrible for us. In fact, they hardcasted that one, so that's yikes. I wish that I could have seen this game if I had drawn more lands, but so be it. So Scam, I don't know, it feels like a difficult matchup, but let's go to game 2. So opening hand, I have Aid and Outfitters and I have Protection Spell, but I don't have the Hammer yet. I decided to keep this one. I'm not gonna lie, maybe I should have mulliganed. I wasn't sure. I really dislike mulliganing down too low against this deck. Especially since I have Surge and I expect my opponent, you know, the Grief shenanigans are always so powerful. If you can just stop that from happening, this is so powerful because now, and they still go for the Feign Death, but if I mean, depending on if my draw steps line up just fair, we should be able to get there, I believe. So they Thoughtseize the core Outfitters away. That's unfortunate. That was my only threat. So I'm really hoping to find the Sanctifier on Vec. Too many removal spells. Sorry, too many discard spells on my opponent's side. But okay, let's just see if we untap here. I'm still feeling pretty good. So they attack. No blocks. They have Fury. Boom. 4 damage. Ouch. That sucks. Now they're just hoping that they don't reanimate it. I say reanimate. It's not reanimate, but you get my drift, right? Another Sigarda's Aid, really not what I want. I just want to find a threat, you know. If I can just play a threat, we should be okay. Then you have the Bowmasters, and that's just game. Not much to be said here. We really tried our best, but their spells really lined up well against what we were trying to do, and my draw steps really didn't. You know, finishing the game with 3 Sigarda's Aids in on the battlefield, not what you want. All right, last round. For the last round here, starting with 2 hammers in hand, I have Esper Sentinel and Surge. I decided to keep. It's not excellent, but if I draw one way to equip my my hammers, I'm just down for business, and we find it immediately. So I'm pretty happy. So I'm just going to equip it immediately, slam in, playing against another Hammertime deck. So let's see if we can prove that Poison Hammer is the best hammer. And they have Esper Paladin, which is the one that I'm not playing because you know, I don't have that many artifacts. They will not attack, and here I'm just going to play an Esper Sentinel. I'm gonna play Colossus Hammer, equip it on Esper Sentinel, say yes, slam in. They have to block. I could have played Blood Agent, but I don't want to. I feel like I don't need it. Okay, and boom, dead. Nice. That was pretty quick. Let's go to the next. Opening hand, pretty good. Aid, a way to get a hammer, and more ways to get a hammer, so pretty much everything you want. You can see that this list is pretty consistent, right? I was wondering in the beginning if the lack of artifacts would be an issue, but it really hasn't felt that way at all, you know. I really watched how I could make this consistent, and you know, I didn't really have any issues of finding my stuff. Like it's like the same with Infect, you know. Sometimes you have like a part of the puzzle and you need to draw it, but I do think that this is more consistent because we usually have 10 ways to either equip or find the stuff that we need. Okay, so we get Hallowed Fountain here in case I find my Blooded Agents. Not gonna play Sigarda's Aid here. I want to have access to Path to Exile in case my opponent just gets rid of my stuff. Interesting hammer build here, white red, and they have some ways to, like, if it dies, it deals damage equal to its power. Which is okay. I'm not going to let it die. I'm just going to Path to Exile this. Nice, so get rid of that. That's why I kept open the white mana for my Path to Exile. Really happy that works. Now I'm just going to slam down Sigarda's Aid. The thing is, against other hammer decks, you know, it's a straight up race. And if they have a way to kill Inkmoth next turn, sure. But I have to play it like this, as my opponent did as well. You have to go all in. So I decided to just play it like this, because next turn I will get Hammer and I can kill them with Inkmoth Nexus. That's at least the idea. There we go. We're going to add mana, make Nexus creature, and they do have Path to Exile. Okay, so be it. That does mean I get a land. I'm going to get Stoneforge. At Caldera, that can win the game on its own as well. A bit awkward draws here. I've been drawing a lot of lands. I'm actually, after this league, I actually decreased the land count to 24, so one less. And there we go. But I do have Caldera complete, which is really good. So now I can just play it. I also have core outfitters, so I can slam down the hammer on it immediately. I'm curious to see why other hammer decks don't play the core outfitters. I guess the paladin is better, but in this list, it has felt quite good. All right, and boom, that was it. 4-1 on the first go, and we played against 3 other hammer decks, which was actually quite funny. It just shows you that I do believe that this list is quite powerful. Who knows? I'm gonna do some more exploring on this. I had a lot of fun, and who knows? Maybe we'll have in the future we'll have the best of Infect and Hammertime and make it work. Give this one a go if you're playing Infect or if you're playing Hammertime. The addition of Blooded Agent makes it much more explosive, and you saw how many times it actually went 1, 2, 3, and the Blooded Agent coming in for one turn and one swing and just killing the opponent immediately was very relevant. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, smash the subscription button. It really helps me out. And check out Card Holding again. Once again, thank you for sponsoring this video so I can borrow these cards. And I'm sure we'll have another brew for you coming soon. Bye!